This is a featured UK Talk Radio Top Business.
UK Talk Radio, welcome. I've got Caroline Rushforth from Brighton joining me for a fantastic coaching show. We love our coaching and holistic shows, and this is, if you like, an East Sussex show. So we've got all local guests and specialists today. Really excited about today's show. Caroline Rushforth, welcome to UK Talk Radio.
Hello, Jonathan. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming up from Brighton to see us today. What I like about you, you're a coach who's you don't just talk the talk. You've walked the walk as well. You've been through all sorts to get to where you are now, and your particular speciality as a coach, Caroline, is freedom from anxiety. So you're a freedom from anxiety expert and trainer. That sounds just incredible. What does that mean, Caroline?
What it means is that I basically have programs and special interventions that help people to actually overcome anxiety as opposed to managing it, and also able to educate my clients on the reason that they have anxiety, and to also shortcut to the potential triggers of why they might be feeling anxious or having panic attacks, for instance. It's all very subconscious. And the technique that I use is called Wingwave, and it's a technique that works on using muscle testing and rapid eye movement to basically shortcut to emotional stress triggers that are very subconscious.
Right, that is because so much is the subconscious, and of course the subconscious is something that we're not always aware of, well, consciously, but you can become more in touch with the subconscious, can't you?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the thing is, though, many people will basically live their lives very sort of consciously, if you like, in a very default state. And so they go about their day and they go about their life sort of collecting stress and traumas as they go. And the thing is if there has been a disruption in sleep or a disruption in a healthy lifestyle, or they're not processing the situations and experiences that they've had with proper deep restorative sleep, then the information that we're taking in on a daily basis gets stored at the back of the brain. And if they're not, for instance, if you imagine sending an email with all your holiday snaps, and the email doesn't send and it just turns and turns and turns, that's very much like the information that works in the brain. If it's not able to compress and distort and break down traumas and stresses and experiences that have happened in people's daily lives. And so when this processing doesn't take place, the mind literally pushes it to the back of the mind and thinks, I'll deal with that later. And then as a result of that, it doesn't get processed. And then people will go about their daily lives, pick up more stress, have more experiences. You know, we've all been there. And it could be something as small as, I don't know, having a bump in the car park in a supermarket, to, terrible traumas that happened certainly in the younger years. Because also in the younger years, the mind is much smaller and it's not able to break down and process information as easy as adulthood.
Yeah.
So this is why we spend, some time in the childhood. But the technique that I use, Wingwave Coaching, works on muscle testing, which, would you like me to explain about how that works, or is that...
Oh, yes, please. Yes, I don't think we've covered this particular niche for a while, actually, so yeah, please do.
Okay, so basically Wingwave Coaching is one half muscle testing and one half rapid eye movement. So rapid eye movement is something that we naturally do in our sleep. It's when our eyes move from left to right very quickly, and this is what the brain is doing to recalibrate itself and to process everything that's happened during the day, conversations we've had, problem solving, overexcitement as well, because, we have all sorts of different hormones going around the body that express how we're feeling. And so what we're able to do in Wingwave is and then with regards to muscle testing, the body responds to how we think. So whatever is going on in our mind and whatever we think about, the body will respond to it. So if you think of an athlete who wants to win a trophy, a good coach will tell that athlete to imagine and remember a time where they've won or a time where they felt very powerful, and that athlete will then have strength in their body to go ahead and win the race. if you tell an athlete to think of the worst thing that's ever happened to them or to think of a negative thought, the athlete's body will go into a weak state, and therefore they won't have the power to win the race. So we use a muscle test to say various sentences and test various sentences throughout a person's life. And what we're able to do with the muscle test is it'll either stay strong if there's no stress there, or it will go weak if there's an emotionally charged memory or an emotionally charged feeling, or unprocessed situation. So if the muscle test goes weak, this is with the thumb and finger, we then know that there was a situation that happened at a certain time, because as a coach I'm saying various sentences and sort of guiding, if you like. It's sort of like a compass. And words also trigger a response in the physical body as well. Language and the words that we say and the words that we use are emotionally charged and do have, triggers. So once we've found out where there's been a particular stress, we go in, we do the rapid eye movement and process the emotionally charged memory situation or stress away. And what that brain then does is, if you imagine going about your day, you say you've just gone shopping and you come home and you unpack the shopping bags and you put things away in various cupboards. That's how the brain's working when it's processing away memories of trauma and stress, worry, and all of those things.
Oh my goodness. Actually, Caroline, this is not about me, it's obviously this is your show, but I think maybe that's what happened to me, although I've been doing them for a while now and I'm near the end of it, with driving lessons and with a driving test, which I've done once now. And I think that's maybe what happened to me. You talk about what's maybe going on in the subconscious, and how your body may be responding in a certain way, and you may not even be aware that you're not doing as well as you would do if you were thinking about all positive things or all happy things. So maybe that's what happened to me when I've had a few, should we say, interesting situations in driving lessons.
Well, that's very true, and it's interesting because I actually did a YouTube video on this yesterday about how what we think about and visualization, the power of visualization before we're about to take action on something. If you want to win, or you want to achieve, or you want something to go well, you have to visualize it happening, because if you visualize it, if you visualize the negative, or you visualize seeing yourself fail, or you visualize, I think I might have an accident this morning, the mind will take you towards that. That is what the mind is programmed to do. It doesn't know the difference between what's real and what's imaginary. So what we tell it and what we think, it will then take us towards that. It will respond in that way. Yeah. And it's the same with inner self-talk. Our inner self-talk, the brain isn't able to differentiate between what is our inner self-talk or what is the self-talk of somebody, talking to us externally. And so why it's so important that self-talk is managed, and that we actually put time to our own mind mastery on a daily basis, in the same way we would fitness and the food that we put in our body. Because this is why people, have get a lot of negative thinking and have negative thoughts. They're just really playing out their own program and their own strategy of thinking. But we can reprogram our thinking. We can change the way that we think. And it's not just about the power of positive thinking, because you do have to work through the stuff. And working through the stuff is really important, and being connected to emotions. And a lot of people are very good at suppressing emotions. Some people don't even realise they're suppressing emotions. People have been taught to suppress emotion, and that's very much what anxiety is about. And as children, this is the thing that I get working with clients, is they have, without no fault of necessarily the parent, but if we go back a few years, children were seen or not heard, or if you were crying on a bus, mother would shove a dummy in the mouth or give it food or something. And we need to encourage our children and people around us, adults, children, to express emotion, because emotion is energy that's meant to move up and out of the body. And it's all the time that people try to suppress emotion, it will just it needs to get out in some way. And this will either be through, emotional outbursts, anxiety, depression, anger, headaches. Let's talk about physical pain as well, because people get migraines, they get headaches, they get aches in their body. It's all a manifestation of what we think about.
Yeah. Caroline Rushforth, before we continue, what's your website, please? Now, your speciality is Wingwave, which we'll also touch on in a moment. Your website, how people can contact you, how they can find you online right now, and get in touch.
Great. So my website is www.carolinerushforth.com, and that's RUSHFORTH.
Yeah.
I also train other coaches and therapists in the Wingwave technique as well.
Yeah. Now, what's the origin of Wingwave? Where does the name come from? Where did it start? How did it start?
So it was two German psychologists who are absolutely lovely, who I know in Germany, and they created this technique many, many years ago. I think there's about 8,000 coaches internationally now, and it was created with it's one half muscle testing, one half EMDR. So the two psychologists involved, Cora and Harry, created this technique for bringing together response to the physical body and also EMDR, which is eye movement desensitization reprocessing, which is a technique used in trauma for post-traumatic stress and things like that. But you can use EMDR, if you like, or the rapid eye movement. And it actually does derive from neuro-linguistic programming as well, because the way that the eyes move, the eyes are attached to the brain, and the eyes are very much part of the whole calibration of the brain processing off information. So it was about bringing two very good techniques together to make one, really. And it's scientifically researched as well at many universities in Germany that are known for athletic sports, and they're often testing it on athletic sports, actually. It's very popular in other European countries for athletic sports and corporate as well.
Yeah, and what is really touching and, to use a rather cliched word, inspirational about you, Caroline, is how you've been, let's face it, you've told me in the past you've been extremely depressed, feeling really rubbish, and obviously now your life is quite the opposite, and so you've gone, from darkness to light, and so you've walked the walk as well as talking the talk, haven't you? You've been there. You've been through all these things and round in circles many times. And
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I had the depression in my 20s. I also had many other, let's just call it emotional eating. And I just went on a mission in my early 20s. I just felt that there was always something more than just being horribly depressed. And I tried so many other different ways to sort of move through it. And I suppose, I have given, I've done a lot of personal development. The first thing I ever did was go and see Tony Robbins at the Excel Centre, and I did his Unleash the Power Within event and did the fire walk. And I suppose there was always this very strong knowing in me that that there would always be something to help me through this. And, it's thanks to all of the people who have crossed my path over my life and have helped me through, some very dark times, and also the commitment that I've given to my own self-improvement, if you like. And what I'd say to anyone out there is you absolutely can change. If you really, really want to, and you really commit to your own personal development, you've got to give yourself time, though. And this is the thing. People say, "Oh, too busy, and I've got this and I've got that." Well, I have an extremely busy life. I had an extremely busy year last year, and I still managed to, I think, lose about a stone in weight. So, you can get through it. You've just got, the thing is that everyone's just on this default mode of busy, and high achieving as well as another one. High achieving, got to please other people. Well, what about you? What about taking some time to sit with yourself and acknowledging really what is going on inside? Because I tell you, there are so many layers. And even now, I notice things. And lockdown for me was an enlightening experience, because I still had a few layers that I was working through with that, where I was acknowledging my own inner self-talk around food. And I was able to really sort of sit with it and go, God, that's really cruel. Why are you saying that? Guilt and shame for eating things I shouldn't be and things like that. And I'm pleased to say I've lost about 6 stone over the years. And I'm very happy. I'm sort of moving into wanting to get my body in a really athletic place, which I've never had, but that's my next goal.
That's a lot.
Oh, absolutely, definitely. It's about saying, hey guys, I've been there, I know exactly what it feels like. I've had depression, I've had anxiety, I've had panic attacks, I've had, the emotional eating and the overindulgence. And it is, it is a personal thing, but I'm very authentic in my work, and I'm very passionate about, showing other people that they can do it as well.
Yeah. Were biscuits one of your weaknesses? Was it the biscuits when you were feeling a bit down, or was it something else?
What are you trying to say? What are you trying to tell me, Jonathan?
I know biscuits are.
Biscuits.
I mean, they're like a Class C drug, aren't they? Biscuits are a huge industry.
I've got a lot to say about food actually on that front. Biscuits. I decided that I was gluten. Well, I realised I was gluten intolerant and dairy intolerant, and I cut a lot of things out. But sugar, that is the worst thing. And for some people, not necessarily everybody, sugar's bad really anyway, but it can actually trigger certain parts of the brain, almost kind of switch on that very addictive part of the brain. Put it this way, I tried a lot of different interventions and nothing had worked, but Wingwave was just the magic bullet that I had been seeking for about 15 years, and my cravings stopped and I was able to lose loads of weight, and it was fantastic. Coupled with, the attention to my own personal development as well, and giving myself time. And, self-love, as cliche as that sounds, we have to learn about being kind to ourselves. And actually, when we're kind to ourselves, we generally are more kind to others as well.
Caroline Rushforth, thank you for this fascinating discussion in Brighton today here on UK Talk Radio.
Thank you so much for having me. Cheers.
This is UK Talk Radio, with the music you love and the chat you enjoy.